Aloha, everyone. My name is Rob Hack from the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. We are one of the partners for the HiSTEP 2022 program, brought to you by a generous grant from SBA, the Small Business Administration in Washington, D.C., and our own Hawaii State DBET, Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. We have a great slate of speakers today to explain to our Oʻahu audience about the HiSTEP 2022 program. And I'd like to begin with Mark Spain from SBA to give us a few words about SBA and the HiSTEP 2022 program. So please, Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to do a launch here. It's good to see a number of you on camera. What we're really glad to do is be able to share more overtly in the 2022 program, the SBA export loan capability. But in addition to that, and working with John Holman here at the Department of Commerce, we're also really generally excited to work with some of our 8A firms who are very much involved with government contracting, the ability for them to learn to export more efficiently, particularly in participating in the gold program and the participate in the foreign trade missions that are made possible by this opportunity. We also want to be very cognizant of the fact that in the supply chain environment that we're in today, it's really important for us to understand the importance of international exporting, and that also comes true on the importing side as well. We look forward to providing any additional information we may through our website at SBA.Gov, where you can find out a tremendous amount of information about the STEP program. And thank you again for the opportunity to launch this important event today, and I'll return it back to our moderator. Mahalo.
Thank you very much, Mark. Next, I'd like to introduce our local managing partners of this program. From DBET is Jamie Lum and another Mark Ritchie, who will tell us more details about the HiSTEP 2022 program. Jamie and Mark.
Thank you so much, Rob. Aloha and good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us for our kickoff of the Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program for 2022. We want to thank the SBA, and we certainly especially appreciate having Mark Spain with us this morning. He is the director of the Hawaii District Office, and so we just thank you, Mark, for being here and saying a few words. He and his team have been very helpful to DBET and as well as all the other partner organizations that we have here, and we appreciate SBA's confidence in the state of Hawaii, having received this grant for since the program began actually in about 10 years ago. So thank you to SBA. So good morning, I'm Jamie Lum. I'm with DBET, and I'm going to be joined by my colleague, Mark Ritchie, and he and I will tag team our presentation this morning. Next slide, please, Rob. So as has already been mentioned, the Hawaii State Trade Expansion Program, or as we call it, HiSTEP, is administered by our department, primarily supported by a grant from the SBA. And we don't do this in a vacuum. If you can go to the next slide, Rob. We have many partners that we work with, and they are listed on our next slide. You've heard from our SBA District Office. You've heard from Rob, our moderator this morning, who's with the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, and we will be hearing from our other partner organizations after our HiSTEP overview. So you can learn a little bit more about each of these organizations that help us carry out the HiSTEP program. Next slide, please. So what is HiSTEP? HiSTEP is an export development program. And in Hawaii, we, and every state does it differently. In Hawaii, this is how we've been implementing the program, and we think it's been pretty successful. We have 3 integrated components. Our HiSTEP Export Readiness Program is a series of training seminars and business advising services where you get partnered with our different HiSTEP partner organizations. The second component is our Hawaii Pavilions, where we've selected particular trade shows where we think Hawaii can have a strong presence and where we can recruit a good number of Hawaii companies to exhibit at these trade shows. And we go in together under the Hawaii banner. And then the third component is our company assistance, which is direct financial support to companies for their export market development costs. And we'll go into more details on each of these components. Next slide, please, Rob. Let me also say that the HiSTEP program is open to all companies that are interested in exporting, whether you are new to export or whether you are an experienced exporter looking to expand into new markets or to expand your export sales. But the basic eligibility requirements to participate in HiSTEP are that number one, you meet the federal definition of an eligible small business concern. There is a self-certification form that you have to sign, and basically says that you are a US company registered to do business in the US, that you've been in business for at least a year, and that your product or your service has at least 51% US content or US value, and that you have sufficient resources to export, to support your exporting efforts. The second requirement is that you cannot be barred from receiving any federal funds. You must also be registered in the state of Hawaii with our Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. And you also have to have a current general excise tax license, be registered with our State Department of Taxation. So those are the basic requirements. Now I'll turn it over to Mark.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And again, my name is Mark Ritchie, and I'm a branch chief in the Business Development and Support Division at DBED, and I assist Jamie with the HiSTEP program. So as Jamie mentioned, the first component of this kind of integrated program is really kind of the educational part, and that's our Export Readiness Program. And it consists of sort of two things. One is a series of webinars and possibly seminars this next year. We still don't know that yet. And one-on-one sort of business advising, particularly on sort of export-related issues that companies have. So on the webinars that we do, we program usually 10 a year. And HPEC, the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, they actually take the lead on this, and we'll look at a variety of topics that can be either sort of country focused, where people might want to be exporting their products, or also kind of issue or sort of horizontal things such as, you know, logistics, financing, and other sort of export related topics. So in addition to these webinars and seminars, once you register with us, and we'll get into that in a little bit, you actually are assigned a business advisor, and that advisor is there to try to assist you with the various components of HiSTEP and also with export related issues, and to sort of help you be successful as a new exporter or expanding your export markets. The business advisors, you'll see they are from our partner list. Those come from the following organizations: HPEC, Hawaii Pacific Export Council, the Small Business Development Centers, the Patsy Mink Center for Business and Leadership, the Veterans Business Outreach Centers, and then Innovate Hawaii HTDC, which helps on kind of manufacturing and business expansion issues. And each of those organizations will be speaking here later in this webinar. And lastly, the idea behind all this is, once you go through sort of this program, the one-on-one business mentoring, that you will have a robust kind of export development plan that you can act on. The sessions, if we go to the next slide, They will go from November of this year to September of 2021. And we can see just some of the different topics that are covered. The next one up, which our Department of Agriculture will be speaking on, is November the 18th, and that's about exporting agricultural products from Hawaii. And then we have sort of some exporting basics in December. And then as we get into the new year, we cover some topics such as e-commerce, logistics, financing. And then this year we're focusing on Japan and Australia and New Zealand as countries. Question, has this come up? You know, are those the only countries you're concentrating on? No, not at all. Each year we take some different countries to sort of talk about. And from past year's sessions, we have other country-specific and also issue-specific webinars that you can access in our archive section on the DBED website. So if you were interested in Taiwan, in the past, we've done a webinar on Taiwan. Interested in Canada, we've done webinars on that, and even on the Canada, US, Mexico trade agreement and how that affects Hawaii companies. Next slide, which is our pavilions, and back to Jamie.
Thank you, Mark. So this component of the HiSTEP, our Hawaii pavilions, as I mentioned, we have designated or selected certain trade shows to go into where we think that there are a number of Hawaii companies that would benefit from exhibiting. We have a few photos of past shows that we've been to. And so this year we're organizing, and when we get to the next slide, it'll list the shows, but DBED will be organizing some shows, and the Hawaii Department of Agriculture will also be organizing a few shows. What we do is the funds that are allocated to this part of the program are used to subsidize the cost of exhibiting for companies. We do charge a small participation fee, but it's normally maybe about a quarter of the cost of what it would take for a company to go into a show on an individual basis. And these are large shows with several thousands of buyers. So it can get quite expensive for companies to exhibit if anyone has gone to a trade show, and particularly if you've gone to one overseas. And so what we do is we'll purchase space, and then we'll put out a recruitment announcement, and we ask companies to sign up. And then we go into the show together under the Hawaii banner. And we found that that's a very effective way of being able to help companies be part of the Hawaii brand. And another, I think, advantage to being part of a Hawaii pavilion is that companies have found that they help each other out. You know, they learn from each other, their experiences in their exporting journeys, and even just sometimes with their individual companies, maybe working together on certain things. So those are some of the advantages to being part of the Hawaii Pavilion. Next slide, please. So this is these are the shows that are on our calendar for 2022, starting with the Gulf Food Show in Dubai, and Department of Ag will talk more about the shows that they're involved with. And then the Natural Products Expo West in Anaheim in March. And although that is a domestic show, meaning it's in the US, it's a very large international show. It has many international buyers. So, and you know, for the last year and a half or so, many trade shows have not taken place, at least not in person, and many of them have gone virtual. But we are ready to go into these shows in person in 2022. These shows are ready. We know that a lot of companies have said that they are anxious to be back in person and meeting, you know, potential buyers and distributors face to face. So, but you can always check our website on the latest news if something should happen, you know, with one of the shows. But for now, this is the calendar that we have for 2022. Next slide, please, Rob, and I'll turn it back to Mark.
Great, thank you, Jamie. So the third component of the HiSTEP program is what we call sort of company assistance, and that's where companies can apply for assistance to pay for some of their export development expenses. And we'll go into those in just a minute. This year, we're issuing 2 separate RFPs, and we have to sort of do this through an RFP process, which is a little bit clunky, but you basically are responding to the RFP, and you can apply for the new to export RFP or the market expansion. New to export companies can request a maximum of $5,000. And what we're really looking for here is sort of smaller companies where this might be the first trade show they would go into, or the first overseas, buyer meetings that they would go to. And so this helps sort of subsidize some of those expenses. And for our purposes, by trying to subsidize or help some of the smaller companies, we're seeding the pipeline so that maybe a couple of years from now, they will be kind of real exporters and have a robust export market. For companies that are already involved in export markets and things, we call that market expansion companies, they can apply for up to $15,000. Market expansion companies, though, to apply for the $15,000, we're looking for a minimum revenue of $200,000 a year. And the reason for that is if you're going to be doing a robust export plan and trying to implement that, it'll take a lot of money. And we want to make sure that companies have the resources to be able to do that, because it can, take a couple of years before one is really, successful in export markets. For these 2 RFPs, they will be posted next Monday on our website, and you can download those and read them through. And then the submission process is all done online, but you can actually get all your materials together from the RFP then to do the online submission. Sometimes when you see an RFP and you're looking at a proposal, you might think some long involved grant proposal. That's not what this is. Basically, it's a very short kind of application where we're asking you questions about your company, and then the real heart of what we're looking at is your export plan, which we're really looking for just a couple of pages. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What is it based on, and how are you going to be successful? And then there's an evaluation committee that will distribute these awards and make those decisions. Hopefully we'll have enough money for everyone that has a qualified proposal, but sometimes we don't, and then it is a very competitive process. So we're looking for companies that, if we give you so much money, that we're going to get a great return and you're going to be successful in your exporting endeavors. The proposals are due January 14th, so you have about 2 months to work on those. And the awards will be made by January 28th. Next slide, and we'll talk about what this money can be used for, and I'll turn that over to Jamie now.
Thank you, Mark. So the SBA does have a list of what they will allow the STEP funds to be used for. And so these are the categories. I will say that due to the pandemic, in the area of e-commerce and online digital marketing, SBA has allowed for more and different types of expenses within those categories. So the first on e-commerce and website, it was basically before just translation or localization of your website, but now it can be used for other types of things, other types of expenses, including online market listing fees, e-commerce platform fees, hosting and maintenance fees, search engine optimization, even setting up your website to receive international payments, and even cybersecurity. So those types of expenses. I'll also mention, and Nicole will talk about it or in her presentation, but we do also have an e-commerce and digital marketing program that we've started with HTDC Innovate Hawaii. So Nicole mentioned that, but that's also part of our HiSTEP. Funds can also be used for international marketing media, including digital media. It's all forms of channels of social media and digital ad placements, and translation of marketing media, including audio and video. Funds can also be used for airfare. We'll cover airfare for 2 people, up to 2 people in your company per trip. And this would be for airfare to a trade show or to a trip for buyers meetings, which we ask that if you're going to take such a trip that you have a minimum of 6 meetings. Funds can also be used for trade show costs like a booth rental and other booth expenses, including hiring an interpreter if one is needed. Next slide, please. Can be used for shipping your products to and from the trade show. Can be used for Gold Key service, which you'll hear more about when we hear from John Holman of the U.S. Commercial Service. It can be used for fees for shipping sample products. You get a buyer who doesn't want to place a big order, but maybe just wants a sample. You can use it for that. Compliance testing for particularly for companies that sell food products or skincare products. Various countries have certification requirements that you have to meet, and it costs money to hire companies to do testing required to meet those certification requirements. So funds can be used for that. And then lastly, funds can also be used for export research tool subscription. So although the U.S. Department of Commerce Export.Gov has a lot of market research on different countries, sometimes you may need more specialized research, and you can use part of the funds to pay for that. So those are basically the list of costs. I will say one thing that before I turn it back to Mark, one question that came up was whether STEP funds can be used for trademark costs and registering in another country, and they cannot. So I'll just say that so that that will be made clear. Now I'll turn it back to Mark.
Okay, great, thank you, Jamie. So as you see, we've gone over 3 sort of components of the HiSTEP program, which is designed to sort of help the earliest stage kind of companies, new to exporters, all the way through more experienced exporters, all to help them get into foreign markets and be successful. SBA, since we get a grant every year, they are looking at certain metrics from us. And so if you look at the way we've designed this program, these are the success metrics we are looking for overall from the program, and then also from individual companies that participate in the program. This is what we're trying to help you achieve. Number 1 is for the state, expanded exports and revenue from exports of Hawaii produced goods and services. And secondly, a larger overall number and a larger percentage of Hawaii-based companies that are active in global markets. And so this is why we think we have to emphasize new to export companies just as much as our more experienced exporters, because we want to get more Hawaii companies involved in exporting. And then lastly, penetration of new markets for Hawaii-produced goods and services. We know that most people looking at export markets, they immediately think of Japan, but this program is also designed for companies to really start looking at other markets as well. Canada, Europe, South America, other parts of Asia where their products might be successful. And so we are sort of looking for a kind of expanding where Hawaii goods and services are exported to. Next slide, please. So you say your company's eligible, you're watching this presentation, what do you do next? Well, the first thing we would like for you to do is actually register with us. And on our website, we have a registration form. And basically there you are telling us about your company, where you're at, how much export you've done or have not done, the countries you're interested in, maybe the trade shows you're interested in, and some of the sessions and things that you might be interested in. And we take that information, and next slide, please. We can see sort of the diagrammatic here. Once you register with DBED, then you will be assigned a business advisor. And again, that'll be somebody from HPEC, SBDC, Patsy Mink Center, Innovate Hawaii, or the BBOC. And they will help you one-on-one with your export program, and then also kind of a concierge service around the different products that we have around HiSTEP and also partner organizations. And then from there, you can attend the export readiness training sessions. There is a separate sort of sign up for those that are on our website. And then also the Hawaii Pavilions. And again, there's a separate application for each trade show. And then lastly, for the HiSTEP individual company assistance, the awards, where you respond to an RFP. And those two RFPs, again, will be posted on our website next Monday. Jamie, did you want to jump in and add anything to kind of the process of HiSTEP or final comments?
Not other than if you are interested, as Mark already said, the way to get started is to fill out a registration. It's basically when you fill out a registration, it's like we start a file for you. And then as you participate in the different activities, we add to that. And hopefully every component of this program builds on each other. So we just encourage you to find out more. If you're still unsure, go to our website, contact us, register, and at least when you register, you can be put in touch with one of our partners and be able to talk with the partner organization a little bit about what it is that you want to do, what you want to achieve in terms of exporting.
Right, and Rob, our last slide is just our contact information. If you have any questions on the program, you can contact Jamie or myself, or also Lau Fujikawa, one of our economic development specialists in our office. And there we have our emails and our phone numbers there. And we're happy to take any quick questions, or back to you, Rob.
If there are any questions, please type them into the chat or the Q&A box. And here's the DBET website, the Invest.Hawaii.Gov. And if you're not already on the mailing list, here is how you would subscribe to the mailing list. And here is the registration area.
Yeah. One point maybe that we should also like to make is we know people that have attended previous HiSTEP kickoffs where we asked you to register like in 2021 or 2020, 2019. We do like companies to re-register every year just because we still have the information from previous years, but by giving us this updated information, we'll have a better idea of where you are at now rather than trying to refer to data from 2 years ago. So even though you did register last year, please register again. Thank you.
Great. If there's no questions, there's one that came in real quick. Let's check. For digital presence, any logo development or creative arts people that can be involved to help companies? Would there be any funds available to pay for that sort of thing?
If that's part of your media campaign, and as long as it's intended for international, to sell your product or your service internationally.
Great.
You'd have to show
Thank
that.
you. Okay, I'm sure there'll be some more questions towards the end of the presentation, so we'll come back to these very quickly. I am the next speaker. That's convenient because I have this web page already open. Again, my name is Rob Hack from the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, oftentimes shortened to HPEC. We are a nonprofit quasi spinoff from the U.S. Department of Commerce. We're an all-volunteer organization, and we have at any given time approximately 30 board members who have been vetted by the Department of Commerce in Washington, and our board members, including myself, are appointed to terms, 2 to 3 years, and we help small companies and other large ones, but generally small companies on all kinds of export related issues, from helping with financing to logistics to business plan writing, what have you. And so I bring up our YouTube channel here because this is our archive of seminars and webinars and events that we've done over the years. And in fact, this current webinar that you're attending right now will eventually wind up on here after a little bit of editing. But we have at this point now nearly 100 videos here on all kinds of topics. So I encourage you to please go to YouTube and search for the Hawaii Pacific Export Council, and you'll find a vast library of very interesting topics here. As Mark Ritchie had alluded to earlier, there are events on Canada specific, Australia, Japan, Taiwan, China, Korea, many others, as well as just specific topics on logistics and e-commerce and international marketing and contracts for exporters. So I think that it's a tremendous asset for our Hawaii companies to have this library of information available. Our executive secretary by charter is a man named John Holman, and he is the U.S. Commercial Service Officer here in Hawaii, handling the Pacific Islands. He's the only U.S. Commerce Department employee out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and he has a vast territory to cover. His office is down at Pier 2 in Honolulu. And I bring that up because John is our next speaker. Unfortunately, couldn't join us today, but he left us with a great video, which I will present now.
Aloha, everyone. My name is John Holman, and I serve as the Director of the Pacific here for the U.S. Commercial Service, U.S. Department of Commerce here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I want to thank our partners at DBED for doing a phenomenal job in running the HiSTEP program. Hawaii has received more funds per capita than almost any other state in the nation, thanks to the great work of the people at DBED and all of the partners that support the HiSTEP program. They're doing a wonderful job on your behalf. Today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about our organization, some of the resources we have on order to support your business as you look to grow internationally. So our organization, again, is the U.S. Commercial Service. And I always like to start off with the 3 keys to doing business in terms of exporting, doing business internationally. Those 3 things. Number 1, most important thing is motivation. Companies that get out there, connect with potential buyers, that go to trade shows and really make an effort are the ones that succeed. Companies may have a great product or service, but if they're not proactive, then they're not going to be successful internationally. Number 2, key to doing business internationally is identifying the path of least resistance. What market can you get into in the least amount of time with the lowest cost and then generate the greatest return? That is your path of least resistance. A lot of companies want to go to China or to Japan for their first market, and those markets can be very difficult for a new exporter. Identify the path of least resistance is key. And then number 3 to export success is finding great partners. These are the people on the other side who are going to be receiving your goods or services and making sure you get paid or representing your brand. It's key that you have good partners on the foreign side. And that's one of the things we do at U.S. Commercial Service, is helping you to find great partners. U.S. Commercial Service is your global network. We are your tax dollars at work. I'm here in Honolulu, but I act as the entry point to a global network of 250 offices in 80 countries around the globe. And our goal is to help companies like yours to grow and succeed internationally. Last year, for every dollar in taxpayer funding we received, we turned that into $360 in sales for US companies. Not a bad return on investment. What kind of companies do we work with? Well, your business must be registered in the US. The content of your products or services must be at least 51% by volume or value. If you import pianos from China and want to re-export them, nothing wrong or illegal about that. We just can't use our tax dollars to support them. So if your products are at least 51% content, then we can support you with our resources. Also, your business needs to be export ready. So you either have some export sales, maybe through your website. You've identified some path of least resistance markets for your business. And if you don't know the answers to those questions, that's okay. You can get a ton of fantastic training through the HiSTEP program and our partners at the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. And you can start at that web link there, where we have a library of resources of export seminars. You want to look for Export University as a great place to start. Our services, resources could be broken down in these four main categories. Market research helps you to identify that path of least resistance. My colleagues in 80 countries around the world are boots on the ground with intelligence. What's happening? What are the trends? What are the market barriers? How can we get you into these markets? Trade events used to be in person, increasingly virtual. Some are starting to go back to in-person events, and we help to conduct matchmaking at major trade shows for US companies and foreign partners in countries around the world, and also in Las Vegas, where many major trade shows happen. So if you have a major industry trade show, check on our website, trade.gov, to see if we have any matchmaking programs there. And then international partners. So as I mentioned, having great partners is key. And we do that through what we call the Gold Key service. So if you tell us who you would like to connect with, maybe the Whole Foods equivalent store in Korea, or maybe you need a distributor in Canada. You tell us who you're looking to connect with. We will contact companies that meet that criteria, tell them about your business, your products, and those that are interested and pre-screened by the US government, we'll put you together with them via introductory meetings, and that can be really effective. And then finally, consulting. Any of those questions you have about the nuts and bolts of exporting, how to protect your intellectual property, what kind of documents do you need to ship, anything you need along the process of exporting, we can help to answer those questions for you. There's some great resources here, export.gov, also trade.gov, HawaiiExportSupport.com is our local website, and then the export videos library on YouTube is a fantastic resource there, so definitely check those out. Cost of our services, where your tax dollars at work, we're not allowed to make any money, but when we do a service for you in country, overseas, we have to charge a cost recovery fee. So for most businesses in Hawaii, if you have less than 500 employees, then those fees are very reasonable. For the Gold Key service of matchmaking with partners, it's just $950 per country. Thank you so much. Here's my contact details. Feel free to reach out with any questions or interest in our resources, and we'll be sure to get you connected. Thanks so much, and back to our partners at DBED.
Great. Thank you very much virtually, John. Our next speaker is from the Small Business Development Center on Oʻahu. That is Joe Burns. Please, Joe, tell us about SBDC.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Rob. I think we had a slide to put up, Rob, if you can find it. So the Small Business Development Center is a joint federal state program that was actually started in 1980, and we started in Hawaii in 1990. And we are an SBA resource partner, meaning that we work very closely with the SBA, and we receive funding from the SBA along with funding from the state of Hawaii. And our mission is to help businesses to form, grow, and thrive. And we do that by providing no-cost individual one-on-one business advisory services through our service offices throughout the state, the other neighbor islands, as well as Oʻahu here. Specifically for HiSTEP, where we can add value to this process is providing expertise and help on your export development plan, specifically as a part of the company assistance application, as well as the budget that you're going to put together for that, market research. And the other area that we can add value in is helping you with export financing. And just very quickly, if you remember in the very beginning slide from SBA, there were 3 specific export loans that SBA has. One is an Export Express loan going up to $500,000, the Export Working Capital Loan, $5 million, and the International Trade Loan, $5 million. So applying for those loans is something that we can support and help you do as part of this program, and which we've done in the past, because it's been shown that if you address this issue early on in the process, you won't be scrambling when the orders are coming in, and now you're trying to figure out how to finance your exports. The other program that I would mention is the US Ex-Im Bank, Export-Import Bank. They have a couple of programs as well, Working Capital Loan Guarantee. They have a supply chain finance guarantee, which is like accounts receivable financing, kind of the way it works. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And also would like to thank DBED and SBA for allowing us to be a partner in HiSTEP since the very beginning in 2011. Thank you.
Wonderful, Joe. Thank you very much. You mentioned a finance aspect of SBDC and Ex-Im. I just wanted to plug a webinar we will have tentatively scheduled for May 12th of 2022 that'll have SBA finance people, international finance people, and Ex-Im and others on there. So thanks again, Joe. Our next speaker is from the Patsy Mink Center for Business and Leadership. That's Colleen McAlooney. Colleen, please tell us about the Patsy Mink Center.
Great, thank you, Rob. Welcome, everybody. I'm Colleen McAlooney at the Patsy T. Mink Center for Business and Leadership. We're a women's business center. We're funded by the Small Business Administration, and we are so grateful to be able to partner with DBET and the HiSTEP project or program, I'm sorry. So our center provides free small business and legal counseling, as well as workshops and programs to help support beginning small businesses who are either looking to start a business or who have recently started a business. We are focused on women as a women's business center, but we do help men here too. We're a warm, nurturing environment, and we love to hear your stories and the path that have brought you to entrepreneurship, and then help you from there. So we're happy to help you with your export readiness and getting your program or your plan up and running. We have a exporting for small business workshop coming up, and actually next week on November 10th in partnership with the SBA and DBET. So Mary Dale from SBA and Jamie here from DBET will be on. So we hope you can join us for that. And we look forward to supporting anybody interested in the program. Thanks, Rob.
Great. Thank you very much, Colleen. Our next speaker is from the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Pacific, and that is Dennis Kwok. Dennis, please tell us about VBOC.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Good morning. My name is Dennis. I'm with the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Pacific. We're actually very excited to be a HiSTEP partner organization again. We're like very similar to the SBDC and the Mink Center for Business and Leadership, as we are a resource partner for the U.S. Small Business Administration Hawaii District Office. Our program is really to provide entrepreneurial development to our veterans, transitioning military members, National Guard reservists, and spouses. We have a pretty big geographical coverage area. We cover Hawaii, Guam, and American Samoa. We provide no-cost business advisory services, like assisting startups and businesses, existing businesses. We provide business planning and projections, financial and operational management, market research. We also help with export planning. We have 2 certified export counselors on staff. We work closely with the military installations across our region, providing what's called the Boots to Business program, which is a 2-day entrepreneurial workshop to introduce and educate participants in business fundamentals. But we're excited to be a part of this program. We also provide other kinds of training. So thank you for having us. Thank you for Jamie and Mark and Rob.
Great. Thank you, Dennis. That's a wonderful organization. Our next speaker is David Sicking. He's the administrator of the Foreign Trade Zone down at Pier 2, which is a fantastic facility right on Ala Moana Boulevard. And I'd like to invite David to tell us a bit about the Foreign Trade Zone.
Great. Well, thank you, Rob. Again, my name is David Sicking, and I am the administrator of Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program. And again, we are excited to be a partner with HiSTEP and DBED and all the other programs that feed into the HiSTEP program again this year. So thank you for having us. We're certainly here to be a partner and do what we can to help. So a little bit about foreign trade zones, a little bit of background about it. You might have heard about foreign trade zones or free trade zones. So a foreign trade zone is a U.S. entity, or as we call them, FTZs, that are a secure area on U.S. soil that are authorized by the federal government and are considered to be outside U.S. territory, or outside U.S. customs territory, I should clarify. Now, this means that imported goods from all over the world can be stored or manufactured in an FTZ, and they'd be treated while they're in that process as if they were in a foreign country. So that means that both foreign and domestic merchandise can be held in that FTZ free from all duties and certain taxes until the goods are either declared and brought into the U.S. for our consumption, used in manufacturing. And in that process, you may see a lower duty rate on some of those goods, depending on what the final product of that production is. Or if they're exported, you never see the duties on it because they never entered U.S. commerce. Really, the idea behind FTZs is to encourage U.S. business growth and employment by deferring, reducing, or eliminating customs duties on imported goods. So we here at FTZ 9 are a state entity. We're part of DBED that service the entire state of Hawaii on behalf of the federal government. Now, you may have heard about our facility here at Pier 2 and thought, well, in order to benefit from the Foreign Trade Zone program, I really need to store my merchandise there. But really, that's not necessarily the case. Now, if you are a warehouse operator or a manufacturer and would like to take advantage of some of these FTZ benefits, we can help to establish your facility as an active foreign trade zone. So that is your location as a foreign trade zone here in Hawaii. Now, we can work with you to draft the application, to submit it to the Department of Commerce for zone status, and to ensure that your facility meets all customs and border protections, operational and security standards for FTZ that you would need to clear as well. But if you don't have your own warehouse, you can still benefit from the FTZ program by using our facility at Pier 2. We have about a 500,000 square foot warehouse here on Ala Moana Boulevard, just across from Restaurant Row. And we have a staff here that can load and devan your containers for you. They can manage all of your inventory. And we also lease office spaces to companies who conduct international trade or do international business. What we've done really down here at Pier 2 is create the international, or a hub, as we say, of international trade in Hawaii. Out of the 7 or 8 local customs brokerage houses we have here in Hawaii, 5 of them are located here at our facility at Pier 2. We have shipping agents here, the main shipper out of China, NYK Logistics, located here at our facility. We have logistics providers, as well as the Office of U.S. Commercial Services. And that's John Holman. You just heard the video from him not too long ago, and he can work with you to help find you those export markets for your products. We already service over 300 clients and certainly are here to be able to help you as well. We are more than happy to talk to you. Our contact information is on the screen there. Feel free to reach out to us and see what we can do to help you. And I'm going to, at this point, send it back to Rob.
Great. Thank you very much, David. Our next speakers are Sharon Hurd and Yukashi Smith from the Hawaii Department of Agriculture. And before they speak, I would like to make a quick plug for an agriculture-specific event that we will be having on November 18th, just coming up in a couple of weeks. So please look out for that. Sharon and Yukashi, please tell us about HDOA programs.
Thank you, Rob. Good morning, everybody. I'm Yukashi Smith, Economic Development Specialist at Hawaii Department of Agriculture Market Development Branch. One of our goals is to develop and expand markets for Hawaii agricultural and food companies. Organizing a Hawaii Pavilion at major food trade shows is playing a key role to achieve that goal. I would like to say thank you to DBED and SBA for allowing us to be a part of this exciting HiSTEP program that enables us to organize Hawaii Pavilion and also helping Hawaii companies to participate in international trade shows. So with that STEP grant, we have international trade shows listed here. Gulf Food is the first trade shows we would like to explain. And let me introduce our branch manager, Sharon Hurd.
Thank you, Yukashi. My name is Sharon Hurd, and I want to also thank SBA and DBET for including us in this really auspicious lineup of speakers. The trade show that I'm going to be speaking to, just a brief introduction, is Gulf Food. It's in Dubai in February. It's sooner than we know. The USA, thanks to programs like STEP and USADA and many, many federally funded programs, the USA has a really good presence internationally. I mean, our USA pavilions at most of the big food trade shows, very well attended. And I think if you participate in Gulf Food, either as an exhibitor or as just to walk the floor, which I believe the HiSTEP program allows, you will be amazed at the amount of people that are in the USA pavilion versus the pavilions for the other countries, nations that are not very crowded at all. And the buyers tell me that they are in the Gulf Food USA pavilion because of our food safety standards. They trust the products. They know that they are labeled correctly and on and on. So Gulf Food is in February. Hawaii, Oʻahu has products that would be a good fit. The GCC is kind of like Hawaii in that they import a lot of their food. I believe they import about 90% of their food for the reason that they simply don't have it. The Hawaii imports a lot of our food because we have tourists to feed and a number of other factors. But for that region, they import the food because they have to eat it. Okay, so look for information on the 18th, more specific for Gulf Food. And one of the things that have changed in the last, I think, 4 years is that the Air Emirates has now nonstop air service from Dubai to LA, 777 nonstop dailies, and they are a code share. So if you decide to ship to Dubai, you do have the logistics to do so. Okay, back to you, Kashi, and thank you for this opportunity. We'll see you in Dubai.
All right, so the next show I would like to talk about is FoodX Japan Trade Show. This is the largest food trade show in Asia, attracting 80,000 attendees from all over the Asia and Japan. Those buyers are representing all the sectors of food service, retail, hospitality, restaurant and bars. So this is the show to go if you are a food manufacturer or agriculture producers. And we have a lot of success stories from this show. And under the big umbrella of Hawaii Pavilion, even the new to market companies can benefit to see the buyers who are already connected to the market expansion companies. So that's Foodix Japan. And the third one is IFEA. If you are not producing the packaged products or some food to ready to serve at restaurants, but you are growing some functional nutrient ingredients, IFEA is the show to go because the buyers are different from Foodix. The buyers are food manufacturers, food scientists or technologists, and they are looking for some kind of ingredients or additives to put into their processed food, functional food, or supplement, or even pet food. So that's the ingredients and additive show in Japan. In addition to international trade shows, there are 2 domestic shows we are going to with the suppliers from Hawaii. National Restaurant Association show in Chicago is for the food service suppliers, food and beverages. And PMA Fresh Summit is for agricultural producers who is growing fruits and vegetables. And if you are interested in any of the show, please go to our website to fill out online application form at HDOA.Hawaii.Gov/ADD/MD. Or please reach us, Sharon, myself, or Karen by phone or email. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yukashi and Sharon. That was great. Again, our agricultural specific webinar will be on November 18th, so please look for that. Our next and final speaker is Nicole Pfeffer from HTDC Innovate Hawaii. They have some very exciting programs coming up in the 2022 cycle, so please look for their website as well. Nicole, please tell us about HTDC and Innovate Hawaii export-related activities.
Thanks, Rob. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Pfeffer, and I'm a project engineer at HTDC Innovate Hawaii. We are a state agency attached to DBED, and we're also a federally funded program of the Department of Commerce. And we are the state's NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership Center and help small and medium manufacturers to scale and grow their businesses. In partnership with the HiSTEP program, we will be launching an internationalization to Japan e-commerce and digital marketing assistance program. Companies looking to sell products to Japanese consumers through e-commerce and digital marketing are encouraged to apply. Selected companies will be awarded a vendor engagement valued at up to $10,000 to expand their existing e-commerce website and enhance digital marketing capabilities to take on the Japanese market. Companies must have an existing e-commerce website in English to apply. For more information and to apply to the program, please visit htdc.org/HiSTEP-program. Starting in late January, we will be hosting our 4th e-commerce and digital marketing cohort program. This 10-week program will be divided into 2 tracks, e-commerce and digital marketing, and will include workshops along with one-on-one consulting sessions with industry experts. If you're interested in applying for this cohort program, please email us at mep@htdc.org. Applications are now open for the Hawaii SBIR program, which provides matching grants to help Hawaii companies further the development of new products to solve critical issues. The HSBIR program provides up to 50% match or up to $75,000 for companies receiving federal Phase 1 SBIR STTR awards. Companies may also apply for the Phase 0 grant writer reimbursement of up to $3,000 for their initial grant application. For more information and apply to this program, please visit htdc.org/money. Some of our other services include food safety training, including FSMA, process optimization with lean manufacturing, robotics and automation support, and audit prep and assessments for Costco and other retailers. We will also be starting our third high school manufacturing certification cohort next year. If you're a manufacturer interested in engaging the next generation of workforce through a virtual tour, guest speaking opportunity, or even internship and job placement programs, please reach out to us. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Nicole. As I mentioned, Nicole is our final speaker of the day, and so I will open it up to Q&A right now. There have been a couple of questions that have come in, so I will ask those. In the meantime, if you have any further questions, please type them in. Let me parse this one. HiSTEP funds are great to promote Hawaii brand products. Are any funds that help secure equipment, manufacturing, or processing from an international country to bring here to Hawaii? Jamie or Mark, can you address that?
I don't think there's HiSTEP funds for that. This might be something Nicole might want to answer. There is a program called the MAP, which is the Manufacturers Assistance Program, whereby 20% of the cost of capital equipment used in manufacturing could receive an award from the state. The legislature has not funded that program, though, in the past year or two, unfortunately, but it does exist. Maybe Nicole, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered it, Mark, but unfortunately, due to coronavirus-related budget cuts, it was not funded the past couple of fiscal years, but we do intend to go back to the ledge to hopefully get that refunded.
Thank you. I believe this next question is for the Foreign Trade Zone and David Sicking, so I put up David's contact information here so you can ask this directly, but what would be the rental cost for something like the size of a 20-foot container? I'm sure David can't quote that number directly, but somebody on his staff could get back to you with that quote quickly if you contact them.
Certainly. So if you're looking for the cost, I mean, like I said, everything we do is on a per cubic foot basis. And so it would be just a matter of what that content would be and if it's available for palletization. If that's the case, we certainly could do that. And then as you use that product down, as you take it out of the zone, your cost for storage actually goes down along with the size or whatever's remaining, that footprint that's remaining. So yeah, reach out to us, give us a call. We'll certainly get back to you and let you know what the cost of that would be. It's very reasonable. I think we are either competitive or very similar to what other warehouses are, but since we are a state organization, our goal really is not to make profit on it other than to provide the service for you. So reach out to us, we certainly can help.
Great. Here's another question. This would be for Jamie. If we received funds last year, can we apply again this year? I know the answer, but I'll let you.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Great.
You can. Yes.
Thank you. Let's see, this is a longer question. Part of the challenge with producing value-added products, we need to get equipment, manufacturing, processing supplies, et cetera, versus doing it manually. Hope we can share how best to help advocate to revitalize. Also heard some EPA restrictions on importing automation equipment from Asian countries, for example. Any help with those considerations and how to navigate? I believe, yes, the Hawaii Pacific Export Council can help you address some of those questions. I also suspect that Joe Burns and SBDC could help you through some of those issues. Would anybody else like to chime in on that?
I think I'll put Nicole on the spot again, because the Innovate Hawaii, they are part of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and that's a federal program designed to help companies be successful in manufacturing. And they have the local resources here in Hawaii, but they can also call on the other MEP affiliated organizations on the mainland for expertise and things. I don't know, Nicole, did you want to comment a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so as Mark was saying, we're the state's Manufacturing Extension Partnership Center, and there's also a center in each state and one in Puerto Rico as well. So if you have any manufacturing questions that we're not able to answer, we can always reach out to our network. And in regards to the more automation parts, we are working with a consultant to do some equipment automation. So if you're interested, you can please reach out to us. My email is nicole@htdc.org, and you can schedule a consultation, or you can email the MEP email as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Nicole. I see no further questions. So with that, I'd like to wrap it up. Again, we're looking very much forward to this HiSTEP 2022 cycle. It's just getting started now. You've just attended the kickoff meeting. Our first event is coming up on November 18th, and please look for this list of events that we'll be doing throughout the year. Towards the end of the cycle here, these dates are tentative, waiting for confirmation from some of the speakers. So please continually check the DBET website at Invest.Hawaii.Gov and make sure you're getting their emails by signing up on the right side of that web page. Again, this is Rob Hack with the Hawaii Pacific Export Council. I'd really like to thank again SBA and DBET for the funding that allows us to put on this program. And I'd like to thank all of our speakers here today. Thank you so much for attending and giving us your knowledge on the program. And of course, our attendees, thank you very much for being part of it. We look forward to helping you export in this coming year. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.